Welcome back. 8:44 Franchise Morning Show, closing out the 8 o'clock hour here on a Friday. You're good to go. Let's go to the phone lines and bring in the head coach of the OU women's basketball team, Jennie Baranczyk. Coach, good morning. How are we?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
Doing well. Has it been a weird week with no midweek game coming out of, obviously the South Carolina game? Would it have been better to have a game for you guys, or I'm sure getting back out onto the practice court wasn't too bad either.
You know, from a coach's perspective, I think it was amazing to have more practice. But honestly, I mean, obviously, we didn't have the game that we wanted at South Carolina last weekend, and I think there were a lot of things that we were able to really dissect this week, and I think we got to work through some things. So I don't know. I always think everything is exactly how it's supposed to be, even though there's times where you really want to jump back into a game and you just forget one and you move on to the next, and sometimes you really have to look in a mirror. And I think we treated that game like, post-game, obviously, we treated it like life happens. And so you can figure out which way you want to be able to go. And so you can blame or you can grow. And I think that's this week we've really gotten after it. And I'm really excited for us to get, today is the first day we'll get back into game plan mode, where we really had about 4 days that we got to just focus on ourselves. So could have been pretty timely, but I really am excited to see how our team responds.
How much different is that for you guys week to week once you get into especially the conference grind of just being able to take a step back and say, we need to evaluate the 1, 2, 3, 4 things that we want to improve on and just get to focus on yourselves?
Well, it's always nice to have those moments. And it was nice to have those moments, I think, obviously, being in the Big 12 too. You had those moments throughout the season. You had those pockets of time throughout the season that you got to kind of take a step back. And I think, for us, the SEC transition, we knew it would be a challenge. It's a challenge. You're going every single night, and people have said this. Anybody can beat anybody. But in the Big 12, that didn't happen that often. There were a few every once in a while upsets. But you knew the competitive games, and you knew the games that maybe weren't supposed to be competitive. It's different. And now, I don't know about the Big 12 this year. I'm not comparing. I'm comparing when we were in it. But it is different. I mean, you're playing against pros, and you're playing against guards that can just flat out make plays. And so it's been a big adjustment for us, one that I think we're learning, one that we've found some success. Right now, we're searching too much for the result, and I think this last week has really taken us back to really understanding the process of trying to build this program in the SEC conference.
You've got such a veteran team, which is obviously a good thing. Is it almost a situation of having to rewire some of the thinking about that as far as the looking for the results of the process, or with a veteran team, has it made that easier to handle some of the adversity and roll through and grow?
Both, and here's why. One, I think just the understanding of being able to know that the season's a long season and it's a journey. It's nice to have that when you have a veteran team. But also, even though we have juniors and seniors, we have new. And there's a different, adding Reagan Beers is different than if you just keep adding the same thing to the same system. And so we are still trying to find that on-court chemistry. And I think that's something that as our program continues to grow, it doesn't matter who's in the game, it's going to look different. And we've had that, but not to this capacity. And so I think there have been some growing challenges, maybe more so than I even thought. But part of that is also getting a group of women to be really confident and assertive, and at the same time finding that flow in chemistry. And so I think you've seen some hiccups. You've seen some really good moments. And then we've had some moments that we have to be better. So if you take even our South Carolina game, because the question I keep getting asked is, about the moment, and the moment was clearly too big for us, but that's why you're in the SEC, and I'd rather have that happen in January than I would in March to end your season. And so we can grow. Now we have the opportunity to fall down and grow and not spend an entire 6 months in the off season to grow. So that's one part. The second part is the questions I kept getting were the shots that shots that you really like. And we had a lot of different opportunities. We will not continue to go forward unless we have, in terms of our system, 5 scoring threats on the floor at all times. And that's how we play. And I think when everybody shows up every day and you play to each other's strengths, that's how that happens. And we were a little bit passive. And so then, therefore, we didn't finish maybe the looks that we would like to finish. And so that's where I think our team has looked at it and said, okay, it's not just about your execution. It's also about how do we set each other up? How do we put each other in good positions? And then how do we finish?
I
don't know if I answered your question at all, but I went on a totally different route for you. Sorry. But that's where we're at.
I'll ask the stupid question. Reagan, it seems like everything's good with the shoulder. I know that there was a lot of concern about a week and a half ago, but with the 23 or 25 minutes against South Carolina, everything headed in a positive direction there, just in terms of health.
Well, the second half. I
Sure.
think the first half, she was hurt probably a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Came back in the next game, played about 9 minutes against Missouri. So you knew she wasn't, ready in that part. I feel like in the first half at South Carolina, she was a little bit more hesitant. And then in the second half, you really started to see, you didn't just start to see her health come back, but you started to see the impact that she really can have. And Reagan is so nice, and you've talked to her before, and she makes blankets, and everybody's heard about all this stuff. I mean, she really is. I mean, she's going to be a kindergarten teacher, for crying out loud. Like, she's just a really, really good person. And I think it's been probably more of a challenge for her to come in and really be assertive. But I think in that half and this week, you've started to see just when she's more confident, we're more confident. And it's not just her. When Peyton Burholst is more confident, we're more confident. When Sahara Williams and Skylar Van. So I'm really excited to see those 4 just continue to expand their own confidence, because I think they've been trying to figure out how to play together. And sometimes as a group of women that are really nice, you got to find your edge and your confidence that you're in it together a little bit more. And the more confident you are and the more assertive you are, that's actually where our chemistry is going to come from. So I've really gotten to see that, and I'm excited to see as we continue to go if we've really flipped that switch.
Talking to Oklahoma basketball coach Jennie Baranczyk here on the Franchise Morning Show. Coach, I guess they're all big weeks in the SEC. We got a couple of big weeks ahead. That starts, though, Sunday, 1:30, Lloyd Noble Center. Sooners will take on Georgia. What kind of does Georgia bring in for you guys? What kind of test does that pose as you get back out on the floor, and then obviously a couple of huge ones after that? But got to start with Georgia first.
Yeah, no, exactly. And Georgia's been in so many games. They've been in so many end-of-game situations, and some have gone their way, some haven't. They have a mix of playing some dynamite freshmen and then having some senior experience. So there's not a ton in between, but you got those bookends. And you can see that. You can see when their senior leadership really takes over, and you can see when their freshmen either are freshmen where they're really, really good, or they're freshmen, but they're really talented. So they've got some great guard play, and then they have a lot of size on the interior. And they mix it up. They mix up the defense. So they zone a lot. They can press a lot. They're kind of what we would expect as an SEC team. They're very defensive focused, and they push it in transition and have a lot of athletic play. And so that's something that I'm really excited for us to be able to step on the floor, because it'll be a great game, and it'll be a great game for us to be able to make reads and really play intuitively, because they switch up their defense so much. So I'm excited for our team in terms of that challenge. And also, for the most part, we've had great crowds in the Lloyd Noble Center, and I hope people continue to come, because this team is one that, again, this is about life. Like, you fall down on your face, and then you get up and you keep going. And I really hope that we continue to support our group, because it's an amazing group to support, and it's really easy to support this team.
Well, you can spend your Sundays out at the Lloyd Noble Center here the next couple of weekends. This one, 1:30, Georgia, this Sunday. Then you got a massive, massive one, top 15 matchup with Kentucky on the horizon as well. That one's on February 2nd, 3 o'clock. So great basketball that's going to be right in front of the Lloyd Noble Center. So get out there. Last one, Coach, we'll let you run. I know you're incredibly busy. You've mentioned the little bit of time preseason where Reagan was kind of off the floor a little bit. Was it good this week, able to kind of work on some of the, I know we talked about entry passes and just kind of getting all that together in the flow of game speed and all that stuff. Is that something you guys were able to get out there with this week, working on yourselves?
We did, and she was still a little bit limited because of her shoulder. But what I will say is what I feel like we're really starting to get is understanding that we're not good when all we do is pass in or when all we do is don't pass in. And when we can find that mix of really, we get hesitant, and that's where a lot of our turnovers are coming from. And if you think about the past, it's too late. You've got to play intuitively, and especially the way that we play. And so that's something that we've talked a lot about, is just playing with those instincts. And ironically, when you do that, you put the ball where it needs to go a lot more than when you think about it, because this league is too athletic and it's too good. It's too fast. The defenses are really, really good, that they can recover by the time that you've made your decision. So that's something that we really tried to focus on this week, and it's hard to simulate in practice. And so that's, I think that's probably, and I don't know if Porter would say the same thing on the men's side, because I know the Big 12 men were so good a year ago too. But I do think that there's a different level athlete, and as much as you want to prepare for the SEC at Oklahoma, you got to live through, and you got to grow, and you got to learn. And I think we're in that phase. Now, we're still a good team. We still have a lot of good basketball ahead of us, but we have to grow and we have to learn. And as long as we're doing that, we're going to head in the right direction.
Coach Baranczyk, good luck this weekend, and we appreciate it. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Appreciate you. Thanks so much, Boomer.
The great Jennie Baranczyk joining us. Oklahoma, what